So, my man LeBron James was at it again the other day. Quick sip of dew. On his new podcast with Steve Nash, I think they were responding to a viewer-listener question about ring culture. And here's what LeBron had to say. You probably saw this, but I didn't get a chance to respond, and I will right here, right now. LeBron said, trying to nitpick an individual because he was not able to win a team game or a team match or whatever the case may be. I don't know where it started, but it's a long conversation, especially when it comes to me individually, LeBron said on his Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash. And he continued, it's so weird, it's never enough. And then I pick up another quote from the podcast. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the end-all, be-all of everything. Like, okay, you weren't a great player because you never won a championship, or if you won one, you can't be in the same conversation with this person. You sit here and tell me Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash effing weren't unbelievable? Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys because this guy won one ring or won two rings. It's just weird to me, said LeBron James. And by the way, if you want to put down a couple of early bucks on that, the only place to start is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It's the Cowboys, Lakers, Yankees all rolled into one. The place to be, the dominant franchise, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. You can find all the best player props on FanDuel, get the latest stats right inside the app, see who's consistently hitting it over, who's flirting with triple doubles. Once the game starts, it can really get interesting when you start combining live prop bets into this same game parlay for a chance to win big. Remember, Summer League is right around the corner. At FanDuel, you get started with $200 in bonus bets. And if your first $5 bet wins, you get the $200. Just visit FanDuel.com / use my first name, Skip, /skip. FanDuel.com /skip to get started today. FanDuel.com /skip. Okay, so here we go again. Obviously, when we're talking about a Barkley who didn't win a ring, Steve Nash who didn't win a ring, a Dan Marino in football who didn't win a ring, did play in a Super Bowl and played very well, just ran into Joe Montana and those 49ers. I see what you're saying, LeBron. You could say, well, isn't Dan Marino still, wasn't he still great? Yes, he was very good. And Charles Barkley, not so much. Charles Barkley, not a leader. I didn't think he was a winner. I didn't think he had high intangibles. He had a lot of ability. But we could nitpick that all to death. LeBron, you're just trying to defend yourself against Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Let's just cut to the chase. You're back at it again, trying to convince your billions of blind witnesses out there that you are the GOAT because you are the greatest scorer in the history of the National Basketball Association, although that's just because you've played so long and been so blessed to be so healthy for so long. No knee injuries, no Achilles injuries, no shoulder injuries, even though you say you have some knee issue right now. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. But you're trying to remake your GOAT case because you know and I know that anybody with half a basketball brain would look at the final outcome and say, well, wait a second, this guy went 6-0 in NBA Finals, didn't lose one, played in 6, won all 6, and was the MVP of all 6. And you, LeBron, well, wait a second. You did make it to 10, but you won 4. You lost 6. Man, the way you lost the first couple, you got swept by the Spurs. You couldn't even win a game. I know they're loaded with Hall of Famers, but LeBron, you couldn't even win a home game against those guys. You were the best player on the floor. And then first year with the Heatles, after you went up 2-1 with game 4 in Dallas, then you just crumbled. You just epic failed. Games 4, 5, and 6, you were abysmal in those 3 games in ways Jordan was never remotely as abysmal, even in playoff losses. He scared the unholy hell out of the Celtics, who swept him. Did score 63 against the Celtics in game 1. Did get swept. Scared the hell out of the Pistons to the point that a book was written about what they called their Jordan rules. Nobody had LeBron rules. LeBron, you've had so many epic fails in finals. You got blown off the floor by a record finals margin in 5 games by the San Antonio Spurs. Wait, and I even skipped over the fact that Ray Allen saved you from another finals loss by making the greatest clutch shot I'd ever seen after you LeBricked a potentially tying 3-point shot, game 6 of 2013 finals. Man, I could just go on. And now you're trying to discount rings simply to make your GOAT case against the runaway GOAT, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It just won't work, LeBron. I mean, how gullible do you think people are? Well, I guess your billions of blind witnesses are that gullible. I'm sure they ate up and took to heart every last word that you spoke or spat about ring culture on your podcast. But for people with half a brain, ain't going to work, LeBron, ain't going to fly, ain't going to float. It comes down to ring culture when you're talking about GOAT. If you want to talk about others, you can go on and nitpick and pick nits. But when you're talking about GOAT, you just boil it down to what really matters. He won 10 scoring titles to your 1. That matters. He won Defensive Player of the Year to your no Defensive Players of the Year. And he won 6 rings in 6 tries with 6 finals MVPs to your 4-6 record in the NBA Finals. GOAT game over. Sorry, LeBron. And by the way, did you even play in this year's playoffs? I forget. I don't know. I blinked. I think I blinked and I missed it.